Well, hello and welcome everyone to today's session in the Did You Know training series from Google. Today's session is Better Engage Students and Save Time with New Google Meet Features, in which we will explore lots of Google Meet features, including breakout rooms, polls, Q&A, translated captions, recording, attendance tracking, live streaming, and more, as well as a sneak peek at some features that are up and coming and some of them rolling out right now. So welcome everybody to this session. Before we get going, I want to give you just a little bit of housekeeping here. You will notice there are some shortened links up in the top right-hand corner that will get you to some resources. The first would be for the slides themselves. That would be goo.gle/May 10, today's date, May 10. That will get you to this slideshow so that you can view these resources again later if you would like to, or while we're going through this. And also, we want to remind you that the site that has all of the sessions in this series, the Did You Know series, can always be found at goo.gle/did you know. That will take you out to this website, which you probably have already been to. If you are, here watching the session, you probably came through this site. But if you didn't, if you've come across this through social media or some other way, again, goo.gle/did you know will get you to the website for the entire training series. We've got 8 sessions altogether. And Jason and I are privileged to be presenting these for you. I've done a couple already, and I've got another one coming up. So if you've missed any of the previous ones, you can watch the recordings, access the slide decks for all of those, as well as see what is coming up. You can add them to your calendar, or you can click the join button to register and get email reminders of these as they come out. So those are the resources. While you are pulling those up, I'll do a quick introduction. So howdy, my name is Eric Kurtz. I'm an educator in Northeast Ohio. Just finishing my 30th year in education. Was a middle school math teacher for 7 years, and then 23 years as a tech integration specialist. I currently work for the Stark County Educational Service Center, and also Spark, the Stark Portage Area Computer Consortium. We're an information technology center up here in Northeast Ohio, and that's my day job, where I support about 35 school districts in this area on using technology in the classroom. On the side, I'm also a Google certified trainer, an innovator, an educator, and I run the website controlaltachieve.com, where I share out all of my Googly resources and other tech resources. Certainly encourage you to check that out if you haven't been there before. However, today I am representing Google and Kiker Learning. So I want to thank Google so much and Kiker Learning for organizing these sessions. And on behalf of them, let's go ahead and get on into our session today on Google Meet. Now, what we're going to be looking at during this session, 3 main things. We're going to start off with a quick look at several Google Meet tools and features that can help extend your usage of Google Meet and get a little bit more out of it. Maybe, with the pandemic, you ended up using Google Meet, but it was more in survival mode, just to be able to make those connections with your students or with your colleagues. And maybe there's some buttons in there. You're like, well, I never really took advantage of all the features in here. We want to make sure that you are doing so. Then after that, we're going to talk about some things that are coming soon to Google Meet, and then finally have some additional resources for you. So let's go ahead and get started with our Google Meet tools and features. And we're being kind of ambitious today. We're going to try to take a look at 8 of these in the time that we have. So fair warning, I'm going to be going quick through this. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to throw those in the YouTube chat as we are going through this session. I'll do my best to keep an eye on any questions that come up that don't get answered otherwise. And please feel free to answer each other's questions. If you know an answer to somebody's question, please, that's fantastic. I'd really appreciate that. But I likewise will try to keep an eye on things and see if you've got any questions. But we're going to look through these 8 features. And I will do a little bit of explanation here. There is some notation underneath each one of these, and I'm indicating which edition of Google Workspace for Education you're looking at here. For example, live captions and whiteboarding, all editions have access to that, whereas many of these other features do require the Teaching and Learning Upgrade or the Education Plus edition. So if you don't have those editions, this is a great way to see what other sort of features you can get with those, and then that gives you a chance to explore those and see if that's something that you or your school want to look into for your usage. All right, so what I've done here is I do like to make this as live as possible. So instead of just talking about these, I actually have a Google Meet running right now in my other tab here. So we're going to see if I end up stressing out my computer here or not. We're going to find out. But in this other Google Meet here, I am the E. Now I've got all my cameras turned off on this because, again, trying not to stress out the computer here. So I'm the E. That's me. That's Eric. And then these are 4 demo users that I have connected in. So I am currently running an actual Google Meet in that tab there, and that's what I'll be jumping back and forth into as we run through these different features here. So the first the first 6 features here, all 6 of these are collectively called the activities that are included with Google Meet. So if I head over to Google Meet and I go down to the very bottom right-hand corner, there's this button that looks like a square, a circle, and a triangle. That's the activities button. And if I give a click on that activities button, you'll see I get all 6 of those. Now, you may not see all 6 of them, again, depending upon what edition you're using of Google Workspace for Education, and also depending upon what you've enabled for that particular Meet. I do have all of these running, though, for this particular one. So we're going to run through all 6 of these, and then we're also going to pick up live captions and attendance tracking. So let's go ahead and start off with the very first one, which is recording. So one of the great features of Google Meet is the ability to record your meeting. Really simple to do. Just come here to, again, that activities button, go to the recording option there. And when that comes up, there's a friendly little start recording button. I'll go ahead and click on that, and that will start recording the meeting. Now, normally we would run this through the entire meeting. I won't. I'll just let it record a little bit and then I'll stop. There's no need for me to record the whole thing. Again, don't need to tax the system more than needed. But what's great about this is it is now recording the meeting. And when we're done, when I do decide to finish that recording, that is going to get saved to my Google Drive. And that's so convenient. It just goes into a Google Meets recording folder in my Drive. I can access that later. I can view it. I can share it. It's just a video file that's stored in my Drive. So it's right there for me to be able to use. I can download it, whatever I might want to do with that video. So if you are creating instructional videos for your students, if you're just recording a meeting for the staff so people can refer back to it later, a great option to have that. I'm going to go ahead and hit the stop recording now. And there we go. And we'll check later. We should get an email after the meeting is over that has a link to that recording as well. So we'll see that post meeting here. All right. So that's the first one. Now, similar to that is live streaming. Can explain the difference between the two of these, but live streaming is another thing in the activities section here. So recording is basically, I'm recording the meeting so we can view it later. Whereas what live streaming is doing is it's doing kind of what I'm doing right now for this training. It pushes out the video for people to watch without them being in the Meet. So in a live stream, like here, these 4 demo users are actually in the Meet with me. So they're hearing everything I'm saying and they're seeing everything that I'm doing because they're in the Meet. But what about other people who might want to benefit from it? Well, live streaming allows you to take your Meet and broadcast it live so that anybody in your domain who has the link can view it. Now, this is limited at the moment to being in your domain. So this would be other people within your school district or within your organization. But what they can do is they can watch it without having to actually be inside of the Google Meet. And the limits are much, much higher depending upon your edition. Either 10,000 or 100,000 people can be watching that live stream versus the limits that we have as far as having 500 people. Typically, I think is the upper limit inside of a Google Meet. So let me go ahead and do the live streaming here. So I'm going to click on live streaming and go ahead and click on start streaming down here. Give that a moment to start. And what's happening now is not only are the 4 demo users able to view my video, but anybody who has the link to the live stream can also view it. Now, how would they get that link? Well, there's a couple of options. It is here. Once I start it up, I can click copy streaming link. And then once I get that link, I could come over to a new tab, throw that in, and this will be, there it is. And I won't actually play this. I'll go ahead and pause it there. But that would be the live stream that somebody could watch. Now, I could have gotten that earlier by just going into my calendar. And here was the event I created for this demo meet. Well, when I went into that event for the demo meet, what I did was I added live streaming to it. And that's one of the options you can do right there from your calendar. And that's what you'd want to do as you create the event. You could add live streaming as one of the options, which I did. And it gives you the link right there. So you can copy that link, weeks ahead of time and have it available to people so they know that they can access that live stream when the time comes. Awesome. Let's go ahead and stop our live streaming and we'll keep on moving. All right. Next up, one of the next features in the activities is the polls. So polls allow you to interact with your attendees. So this is great, again, for our students if we're wanting to be able to get more engagement between us and our students, or just we're in a training or a meeting, we want to make sure everybody is involved. You may be in a situation where you still have, meetings that are somewhat a mix, a hybrid. Some people are there in person, some people are remote, and this will allow you to engage with those people more. So with a poll, if I click on the polls section, I already created one ahead of time for this meeting, but you can simply come here and click create a poll, put in your question and put in your possible answers. Well, I went ahead and threw one in real quick. Which feature of Google Meet would you like to learn more about? And I threw in a couple of possible options there. Now I'm going to hit launch to start that poll. And at that point, all of my attendees will be able to see that poll. I can also flip the switch if I want to let them see the results. That's kind of up to you. But let's go ahead and launch that poll. So that poll is now live. So at this point, I'm going to pop over to my other tab here. This is my Chrome Remote Desktop. So I have a second computer that I've got all these demo accounts logged into. I know we're pushing it here today, and I'm connected through Chrome Remote Desktop. So here we have the demo users over here on this other computer, and so I'm demo. I don't know which demo user I am at the moment. That's okay. I think I'm demo. It doesn't matter which number I am, but I'm one of the four. I'm one of the four. If I come down here and click on the activities button, I can see, oh, hey, the poll just went active here, and I can click on polls. And I can say, I'd like to learn about whiteboarding, and I can vote on that. And then the next demo user can come in and go to polls, and maybe they can vote on breakout rooms. And then the next demo user can come into the polls and let's see, we'll vote on whiteboarding as well. And then the last one here can come in and we'll let them vote on breakout rooms. And so as they're doing all that, if I come back over here, I can see my poll and I can see those votes coming in there. So it's a great way for me to get feedback from my participants during a session. All right, well, I'll go ahead and end that poll, but and of course you can start and stop polls as needed. Excellent. Next up, the next feature is the Q&A. Now, this kind of is going the other direction, where polls, I was asking my attendees a question. Q&A, they're asking me questions instead. And so with Q&A, this is a feature that I can turn on through the activities button. So I'll go ahead and turn on Q&A. And once I do that, now the students or the attendees, the staff members, the colleagues, whoever it might be, they're able to ask questions of me right through the Google Meet. So again, we'll head back over to my Chrome Remote Desktop and we'll see, let's go into Q&A, and let's say we want to ask a question here. So we'll put in something, let's see what would be a good question to ask. We'll just say something like, how do you use breakout rooms? So maybe that's going to be, the question this student posts. And then we'll go to another one here, and maybe we'll just put in, a question like, what time is lunch? All right, there we go. And we'll post that and on down the line. Now, what's going to happen here is as the students or the attendees are looking at Q&A, not only can they ask a question, but they can vote on the questions that other people are asking. So maybe like, oh yeah, I am curious about that question. And so as they're seeing these questions come in, they can start putting a thumbs up on the ones they're most interested in. Back to me as the teacher, though. I can now see these questions coming in and I can do a lot of stuff with them. For example, I can decide to sort and I could say, you know what, let's get the most popular ones up to the top. And so it would resort them and I could see which questions are getting upvoted the most. And I know that's what I better take care of. I better address that. Or I could say, show me the newest ones, for example. I can also, let's say I address this question, I take care of this question. I say, oh, hey, here's how breakout rooms work, blah, 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 blah. I can now come here and I can click, for example, this little check mark to mark this as an answered question. That way, we all know it's been taken care of. And I can even filter up here and say, I don't need to see all the questions, just the ones that are still unanswered. And then it can filter out the ones that have been answered. And if there was a question that wasn't, something that fit in, like, what time is lunch? I can even, I can hide a question if I need to get rid of it. Or I could even delete a question if I needed to and, pop that question out of there. So Q&A, great way to be able to get feedback from your attendee or to get questions from your attendees for things they want to know from you. Now, I have also used Q&A as a way, like, let's say we go back to the idea of remember my poll earlier. The poll that I had was I was asking which Google Meet feature would you like to learn about? And I put like 4 options down. Well, the only drawback to a poll is they can only choose one of the options. So they could have chosen, I think it was recording. Here, let's take a look again. It was recording, live streaming, whiteboarding, breakout rooms. What if I had, and I've done this before, I've had a session where I've had maybe 12 topics and I want them to pick, the top, we're going to maybe only have enough time to cover, 5 of the 12 things. And I want to know, what are people most interested in? Well, with a poll, unfortunately, they can only vote for one. What I've done sometimes is I've done a Q&A and I've asked questions. You're allowed to ask a question as the person who's running the meet as well, not just the people that are attending. And so I would fire up Q&A and I'd ask a question, and the question would be, topic, topic 1, recording, and then ask another question, topic 2, live streaming, then ask another question, topic 3, whiteboarding. And I would ask all these separate questions because everyone gets their own thumbs up button. And by me asking those as Q&A questions, all the attendees could go in and go boop, 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 and they could click on the thumbs up button of all of the topics they're interested in. And then that allows them to vote for as many as they're interested in. And that helps me then sort them and they bubble up to the top. And suddenly I'm like, okay, here's our top 3 things that everybody was interested in. So just be aware, that's a nice way to use Q&A as well. All right, very good. I'll go ahead and turn off Q&A and we'll keep on moving. And again, if you guys have questions throughout this, please feel free to throw those into the chat. And again, we'll do our best to keep an eye on that as we go. All right, next up, whiteboarding. So with whiteboarding, this allows you to open up a jam, a Google Jamboard jam to collaborate with your attendees. So if you need to work out something on a whiteboard, there's a lot of great whiteboard tools out there, but what's so nice is Jamboard is just built right in here to Google Meet and makes it very simple to use. So all I need to do is click on whiteboarding and decide, am I starting with a brand new blank whiteboard? Am I going to grab one from my Drive? So if you have something that you have already saved to your Google Drive, you've got a Jamboard that's already queued up with all of the resources you need for the session, fantastic. Just grab it from your Drive. For today, though, I'm just going to start a blank whiteboard. And when I do that, give it a moment there to create the jam, it's going to notice that my attendees do not have access to that. It's going to ask me, how do you want them to be able to interact with it? Are they just viewing it? Am I pulling up a whiteboard so I can solve a math problem and they can watch me do it? Or do I want them actually to edit it with me? So totally up to you. Got to kind of think that through, how you want people to interact with it. In this case, I'm going to say that they all can edit it with me. And there we go. Once I send that out, the jam will be created. There it is. And now I can start writing on this jam, and my attendees, they're also getting in the chat. It's popping up in the chat saying that I have shared that jam out with them so they can open it up. So if I came here and maybe I was working out a math problem, 2x plus 3 equals 17. And, I want them to help me solve it. Well, let's see. Let's jump over to one of our attendees here and let's take a look. We'll go to the chat. Oh, nope, got to continue sharing there. Hold on a second. Make sure I'm still sharing the screen. There we go. Excellent. So let's come over here and let's go to the chat and be like, oh, hey, Mr. Kurtz shared out a Jamboard. They can click on that. It opens up. And now they can jump in there with me. And they could say, okay, our next step is we need to subtract a 3 from both sides. And so now they're going to go in and subtract a 3 from both sides. And while they're doing that, whoops, I lost my floating jam. There it is. Now I can see in my floating jam there that the student has written in there as well. So great way to be able to interact with your attendees. And remember, lots of great things you can do with Jamboard. If you want to learn more about it, I've got a lot of great resources on my Control Alt Achieve site about Jamboard as well. And there's lots of great tutorials out there for it. All right, let's keep on going. We're down to our final of the 6 activities, and then we're going to pick up just a couple more things. And the last is breakout rooms. So breakout rooms allow me to take my attendees and split them up into smaller groups where they can work together. So if I head back over here to Google Meet, and I go to breakout rooms, what I'm going to need to do is click on the set up breakout rooms button here to be able to set up my breakout rooms. But what you're going to notice is an interesting thing. When I click on it, it looks like a little setup was already done because you're allowed to organize this ahead of time. And that's what I did in my calendar event. I went into my calendar event, and if you go to the little settings gear here in the calendar event, you can organize a lot of things, including breakout rooms. So I created group A and group B ahead of time, and I put my students into those groups ahead of time just to save myself a little bit of time when I get here into the meeting so that I don't have to organize them, on the fly. Now you still can though. I can shuffle the students to move them around. I can clear them out and put them back in. I can drag and drop them into different groups. I can rename the groups. All of this is completely editable however you'd like. I can even set a timer if I want to have the breakout room, expire after 5 minutes or whatever the case might be. And I can add more rooms. I just have 2, but I can add as many rooms as I want. So a lot of flexibility there. But let's just go ahead and click open rooms and see what happens when we do this. So these users should go into groups A and B when I do that. So I'm going to click on open rooms. And now what's going to happen is let's pop back over to our demo users, and there they are. So they're being told, hey, you're being invited to join group A. Well, let's join group A. And this demo user is getting invited to group A as well. And this demo user, group B, and this demo user, group B. And so now all those students have joined into those different groups, and I can see they're actually in those breakout rooms. I can jump in with them if I want. I could come here and say, hey, I'm going to join group A. And if I click that, I'm jumping in, and now I'm in with the 2 users in group A. And then when I'm ready, I can leave that group and head back to the main call. Now, those students, while they're in there, or those users, while they're in there, if they need to, they can click ask for help to let me know, hey, we need you to join this room, or they can return to the main call if they want to exit out of the breakout room themselves. When I'm done with them, I can just click close rooms, and that will close out all the rooms. It does give them, I think, 30 seconds to wrap up what they're doing, but they can also just go ahead and click return to main call, and they can head back into that main call without waiting for the 30 seconds to expire. And now everybody's back in the main call. There we are, and we're good to go. Awesome. Excellent. All right, so those are the 6 main activities. Let's hit a couple of other quick little things, and then we're going to get into some up-and-coming stuff as well. So live captions, this is something that is a great feature to take advantage of during a meeting. There is a closed caption button down at the bottom of Google Meet, and by clicking on that closed caption button, it opens up a spot where captions will display for whoever's talking. Now, I've got the mic muted here for a moment, so I'll unmute it on this Meet. I just didn't want any echoes, so we'll just try this out real quick. Hello, my name is Eric. Oh, I didn't get the Eric part. We'll try that again. Hello, my name is Eric. Oh, I did get it. It just took it a moment longer. There we go. All right. Now, something to note. Closed captions are per user. So by me clicking the closed caption button, it's not turning it on for my attendees. They likewise would need to click their closed captions button anytime they want to see the captioning of people as they're speaking. Now, cool thing about closed captions is if we go into the 3 dots button and we go into our settings and we go to the captions section, we can also say, well, maybe we're not speaking in English. Maybe this is a meeting where we're speaking in Spanish or French or German. If we switch that, it'll expect the language being spoken to be in that language. Or there is a translation option. As long as the language of the primary meeting is in English, we can turn on translation and say we are translating into another language. So if the language being spoken is English, but the person maybe is an English language learner and they'd like to be able to see the captions in Spanish, even though people are speaking in English, they could turn that on in the settings. And so now if I unmute, hello, my name is Eric. And there you go. You see it's translated it into Spanish for me there. So nice option to have that as well. I'll go ahead and turn that back off, but great option to have. And then the last thing that we're going to mention in the tools and features is attendance tracking. Now, I can't show you this until I end the meeting, so I'm going to come up here and end the meeting. And so let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and leave the call. We're going to end this meeting. And what's going to happen is we're going to let that meeting wrap up there. And as that finishes up, an attendance report is going to get generated now that the meeting is over, and it's going to get emailed to me. So we're going to take a look at my email over here, and it looks like that was an earlier one. So hopefully after we get done looking at the up and coming features, we'll check back again, and we should be getting an email that has that attendance report. So this is a great way to see who all attended the meeting, whether it's students, whether it's attendees at a professional development session. All right, so those are the 8 tools and features that I wanted to give a shout out to during this portion of the meeting. We're going to again revisit attendance tracking here in just a second once that email comes through. While it's doing that though, let's take a minute or two to just talk about some features that are coming soon for Google Meet. Now, this first one is actually rolling out right now. I believe I have it on my domain already, but I think it may be rolling out to others. It's one of those things that, there's always a couple weeks of a rollout, and that is the ability to join a Google Meet from inside of a Google document, a spreadsheet, or a presentation, and be able to still see your document while the Google Meet gets docked over to the right-hand side in more of a panel over here. So this, just so I make sure this is clear for you, this is basically a new viewing option is what this is. Because normally in Google Meet, we can adjust all sorts of viewing options where we can put people in tiles or we can pin a specific person. Well, Google is adding more viewing options, and this is one of them. So again, if I'm inside of a document and I click the Meet button and I say, let's join the call, join an existing meet or start a new meet, what will happen is because I'm doing it from the document, it realizes, hey, you're in this document. Let's not cover up the entire screen with Google Meet. Because I'm doing it from the document, it forces a panel over here on the side, and that's where it's going to show my attendees, and it's going to have all the buttons at the bottom to get to the activities and things like that. Now, you can exit out of that. There's a little button at the top to pop it out, and that will let you go back to the full screen of Google Meet. But while you leave it docked like this, it just gives you a lot more flexibility to be able to see your document, work on your document while viewing the folks. Now, this only is for you. Again, remember, viewing is up to the end user. By me doing this, it does not change it for the other attendees. They do not get the docked sidebar. They still see it as normal, but they would have the option to do that as well. So just heads up that that is a view change for you as an end user. Other things that are coming soon. We've got some reactions that we can be adding into a meeting here. Some different thumbs up and hearts and smiley faces. So the in-meeting reactions button should be coming soon, so that during a meeting you can click on this and choose these different meeting reactions and give another form of feedback for people in the Google Meet. Another cool thing, as far as viewing options go, is picture-in-picture. So let's say I'm just in a regular old Google Meet and I need to be able to see my screen and see the other people in the Meet a little easier. And maybe I don't have multiple monitors. Now, I do have multiple monitors right now. I've got 3 monitors actually, and so I wouldn't have any issue with that. But if let's say I'm on my laptop and I'm traveling and I only have one screen, well, there's a new feature coming where you're going to be able to right-click on the grid and say you want to open up picture-in-picture. And when you do that, so here you'll see the grid in Google Meet, and I'm sorry, it's not a right click, it's a 3 dots button. There we go, 3 dots button and open picture-in-picture. It's going to pop out this 2x2 grid there where you can see people, and this will be a floating grid so that you can continue working on the stuff on your screen while being able to see people in the Meet. So that's awesome. And then the last coming soon thing to mention is an update to live streaming. We saw live streaming where we saw how we could stream to people within our domain. Well, later this year, live streaming is going to extend out to YouTube. This is fantastic. This means I could be running a Google Meet. Instead of just streaming it internally to the people in my domain, I could instead say, I want to stream this on YouTube. And then anybody could watch it, just like we're doing right now with this particular training we're doing right now. This would allow anybody to be able to see it, and I could stream it right to my YouTube channel. So I'm really excited to see that coming. All right, let's see if my attendance report showed up yet. Looks like it did. There it is. There's the email that came in. And so here is my attachment that has all of my users who attended, the duration of how long they were in the meeting, when they started and when they left. But it also sends me other things like any questions that were asked during the meeting and how those got resolved. It also gives me a document, a spreadsheet here of the poll. So my poll questions and how the answers were given to that. I also believe we got an email here with the link to our recording. Yes, there it is. And so in Google Drive, here is that recorded video. Now, it's not going to be too exciting to see right there, but there's the link to my recording as well. Well, guys, we're getting really close to the end of our time, so I do want to mention some additional resources if you want to go a little deeper with some of this. I do have some links here, including a link out to my Google Meet help videos that I've pulled together on my Control-Alt-Achieve site. There's lots of Google Meet help videos I made over the last couple of years. Try to keep them real short, 5, 6, 7 minutes long. Those can help you out there as well as any blog posts that I've done on Google Meet. This will pull up a list of all the different blog posts that I've done related to that. And of course, Google has a wonderful set of help pages on Google Meet as well. All right. Well, it looks like we are in good shape here. I'm checking again on the chat, and I don't see anything that needs to be addressed. So I think we did it. How about that, guys? A lot of stuff covered in 30 minutes. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of this training today, for taking time out of your schedule to fit this in. I hope you picked up some new tips and tricks. Please do check out, again, the full Did You Know training series. If you've missed any of the earlier sessions, the recordings are there, and we still have some more coming up as well. Other than that, thank you guys again so much, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, everybody.